Welcome to Discussions with the Writer Fred here at Black Video News in San Antonio, Texas. Today we're going to take on a topic that's really critical and important in these times today. In fact, it's been important all along, and that is the representation of Black Americans in media. And why do I say that's so important? Because communication is the key. You are perceived as you are talked about in the media. And we know recently we had an incident with that guy called Trump with 3 Black female reporters. I think he called one dumb, he called one silly, and he kind of dismissed the other one. That kind of stuff sticks out there in the real world, and he wants it to do just that. So today I've asked 2 really well representatives of Blacks in the media to join me here and discuss Blacks in the media. And Mr. Kerry Clack's been with us before, and welcome back, Kerry.
Always good to be back.
Kerry, 17 years with Express News. He was the voice of San Antonio, Black San Antonio, for a very long time. And he's still very much respected in the media. In fact, he has a book out called Clowns and Rats Scare Me. And it's a collection of his columns over the 17 years. Also with me is someone who's with me all the time, Dr. Sharon Michael Chadwell, who's an educator. She teaches doctorate classes online. And welcome back, Sharon.
Thanks for calling me back.
Oh, happy to have you. So let's get right into it. Where are we in the media? Let me give you a little statistics first. Okay. And back in the year 2000, let's take NBC's New York headquarters. There were 645 employees. 96% was white. But those that monitored, wrote, and broadcast news, there were only 16 African Americans, 8 Latinos, and 6 Asian Americans. But out of the 270, now let's see, break it down more. Out of the 270 key employee positions for people writing news and reporting news and interpreting news, 142 were white males, 121 were white females, 3 were Black males, 2 were Black females, 2 Latinos, and 1 Asian American. And that's why I start out by saying the news, the media news, I mean, you can go to all media, they project the perceptions of people into the larger community.
Correct.
And I don't know if you recall the 1968 report on the riot, Watts riot. One of the criticisms was that they always projected negative news about Black Americans. And let's fast forward to 2018. The way that man, Trump, responded to those 3 Black reporters were somewhat in the same category. So let's start with Kerry. Where are we? Where are we as Black folks in media?
I think with newspapers and broadcast media, I don't know what the numbers are, but I know that with newspapers, and perhaps it represents just where newspapers are in general as a dying entity. But I saw recently a diversity report which showed that diversity in the newsrooms and our newspapers isn't very diverse. It wasn't very diverse when I was writing. I've been gone from the paper for 7 years. There was a point when I was at the Express News when we may have had 11 to 13 Blacks, which that was the high point. Reporters, columnists, copy editors, photographer editors. I mean, I know that right now there are 2 Blacks in the newsroom. So I don't think that we're at a place that's much better than it was 10, 15, or 18 years ago when you're looking at the statistics at NBC in 2000. I think it might be a little bit better just as a sense looking at TV, at broadcast. But even then, I know that the numbers are underrated. It's not what it should be. commensurate to the population of African Americans in the United States.
Okay. Sharon, you want to take a crack at it?
From what I'm seeing, I have to agree with Carrie that there really hasn't, if you look at it in terms of a ruler, we might have moved an inch up the ruler over the past 10 years, and we've got 12 inches of ruler to deal with. As a Black woman, what I'm seeing is that the media still wants to control how we look in relation to their white female counterparts in terms of having long hair. If a Black woman showed up to the media with an afro or any type of Afrocentric hairdo, she wouldn't be picked up because she's not representing what they consider to be the image of the ideal woman, I guess, if you want to say. The other thing that I am noticing as well is that it still seems to be some colorism, issues of colorism, to where we're not seeing as many dark-skinned Black women over, a little bit lighter-skinned Black
With the
women.
exception of MSNBC.
With the exception.
Yeah.
So I think all in all, there's still a control as to what type of Black person is on the table, and then how much control it's been that person has to succumb to get a message out. For an example, you and I were talking earlier about the situation at the North Sentinel Island, where this African tribe is trying to protect their community and families. Mm-hmm. Well, we're not hearing too much information about that in the media. Mm-hmm. However, we're hearing other information that's coming out to where it's more palatable to the audience that they're trying to target. So we're not seeing this. I mean, we're seeing Blacks in the media, but still there's a messaging issue as well as to what can be said, especially about the African or Black community.
Isn't that, to me, that's the key. What can be said? There was a time, as you all know, where there weren't any Blacks at all. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Then civil rights came along and they started to hire Blacks. But here's what they did. They hired Blacks, but with a different kind of mindset. Mm-hmm. And so all you have is a Black face, but not someone that is reporting the news or even opinions from what is valuable or more important to the Black community. Mm-hmm. And I see a lot of that. One of the colleges I taught here, I won't mention the name of it, it was like that. They didn't want you to empower Black students from that perspective. Correct. And I think it's true with the news media also. Example might be Roland Martin. What do you think? He was almost, quote unquote, too Black, and he's gone now.
But he did open his own. He does have his own online platform, which is doing well.
Well, but it's and that's important, and that brings me to us right here. What Carl Booker is doing here is very important, and we're trying desperately to get more folks to support Carl because he opens up this forum for us. And we go not only nationwide, we go international. And we can sit here and talk about it from a Black perspective and not from a white perspective in a Black face. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's important. And if you look at let's just take a look at some more of the stats. Okay. Yeah. Over at CNN, you got Don Lemon. Okay. I think Frederica Whitfield, and now you got Van Jones. Mm-hmm. MSNBC has Crave Melvin at 11 o'clock our time, 12 East Coast. Then they have Joy Reid on Saturday, who's good. Mm-hmm. And also El Sharpton now has Saturday and Sunday. Joy Reid has Saturday and Sunday. And of course, Roland did have TV One. Mm-hmm. Roland Martin, you don't have it anymore. I don't even know. Jump on me if you want to. I don't care. I don't even know who's at Fox because I don't even bother. I don't even bother with them.
They've got some at Fox.
Yeah, but that goes back to what you talked about.
The black face and the white mind. Yeah. So how important is that with this president and what we see happening? Folks, this is dangerous stuff out here. When you elect a woman who talks about going to hangings and then talks about taking away, it might not be good to give everybody the vote. When you have those kind of people in the Senate, and then you have a Senate that won't do anything, and then you have that guy in the White House. I mean, what kind of condition, what can we do? Where are we as black people today?
Well, one of the problems that I see is that our communication network doesn't, from a mainstream perspective, doesn't exist. We have BET, but we don't have BET. So when we don't have a mainstream news outlet, then it diminishes possibilities of how news is communicated to blacks, to those concerned with black issues. The other thing that is of concern is that going back to our current governmental leadership, if you look at those blacks in media who have stepped forward and made comments, April Ryan, Joy Reid, even Don Lemon. And Don Lemon is kind of interesting. And he could be a whole different topic. But even Don Lemon has made statements to where now we're going to have to watch very carefully whether he'll be able to keep his job.
Why is that?
He came out and made a statement. Basically, he was saying that I'm summarizing, that the main concern of the United States should be the white male terrorists. Because he said the white male terrorists, something to that effect, now he's catching a lot of heat on just coming out and saying what's been obvious.
And that's on a liberal, supposedly liberal station, CNN.
But it's because of what he said and who CNN is targeting as their audience. Yes, they have blacks on CNN, but they still have a targeted group for the audience, listening audience. And it's not the inner city listener. It's probably not even any of us here at the table. It's for a specific group, and Don Lemon came out and quote unquote upset that group.
Okay, let's discuss that group when we come back from our break. Okay. We'll be right back with you here at Discussions with the writer Fred.
40% of food in America is never eaten.
Marie, you have prediabetes.
Prediabetes? I don't have time to eat right or exercise. I'm a busy mom.
Oh, you're a busy mom.
Yeah.
This is great news. Busy moms never get prediabetes.
Wait, what?
Let me just... Yeah, this is all the people at risk for prediabetes, and way over here, busy moms. No?
Hey, you.
Yeah, you. Getting that college education. What are you gonna do? Graduate and take some office job? Be like everybody else? Or will you dare do something different? Like, be a teacher. You could be my teacher. You got the skills.
The smarts?
Yes, you. You could be the teacher I never forget.
That'd be cool.
Does that corporate job even have recess? What are you gonna make of yourself?
What are you gonna make of me?
Nothing to do this week? Don't miss another event. Go to blacksinsanantonio.com for our event calendar. the home of the largest business directory in San Antonio with an African American focus. Sign up today for our weekly e-blast and text message alerts. Help us make this a better community. Connect, empower, grow.
Welcome back to Discussions with the Writer Fred. When we took our break, we were talking about targeted audiences. And let me just make a comment on that. If they're not really looking at us or hiring more blacks or projecting their programs towards us, does that mean that we're not their targeted audience? What does that mean?
Okay, so we look at targeted, when we mean by targeted audience, we're probably looking at more of a targeted mindset, if you will.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to use myself as an example. I'm educated. You know, I live in a nice home, you know, drive a nice car, I'm able to do a lot of things. So I may be in the same...
She has a PhD. She just says educated. Let's just put it out there.
Right.
She has a PhD.
But what the point I'm trying to make is that my values in terms of targeting may be within the same group of others who are within the same realm. Okay? And so how white am I in terms of can they target me in terms of spending money? Now, if they were doing Michael Jordan shoes, then the targeted group might be a little bit different. And that marketers do the research. They know who is more likely to be the persons who will buy Michael Jordan shoes, and it won't be persons like me. So they shift the target a different way. So it's who they're trying to target and at what time they're trying to target.
Okay, well, are you saying then that news is reported that way, or should news be objective? If they're going to, well, we know. Let's take Fox News.
Okay.
We know it's not objective at all.
And it's targeting a specific.
It's targeting a specific group. Is that the way you report news?
It shouldn't be the way that we report news, but it's how news is probably being delivered.
Well, how much damage did Trump do to the perception of black reporters when he went after those three beautiful sisters?
I don't know how. Whatever damage he did to specifically black female reporters would be damage done in the eyes of the Fox viewers who y'all were just referring to. I mean, those who would believe anything that he would say anyway. And to go back, Fox, the way Fox does news is not the way you report news, because that's a propaganda network. And it's a difference between having a conservative slant or a liberal slant. MSNBC obviously has a liberal slant, but it's not during the Obama administration. It wasn't Obama's mouthpiece. But I think if anything, what Trump did with the three reporters is outrage people, those who still have the capacity to be outraged. Yeah, because it was so specific and in such a short period of time, and there's a pattern of not just black female reporters, but black female politicians, black women in general. And there was a great cartoon, a white cartoonist did. Remember the 1968, the Black Power salute? It was it was April Ryan, and the other two reporters on like Olympic platform.
Abby Phillips.
Abby Phillips and
Yamisha.
Yeah, they were on like Olympic platforms, and they're standing up with microphones like this. In the black. So I don't think that Trump himself has done any damage to black female reporters. The ones who's in their eyes may see them negative, were seeing them negative anyway because they were black female reporters and they were asking difficult questions of their president.
How I'm seeing it is that, okay, I have to agree, he didn't do that much damage, okay? However, what he said pretty much aligned with the stereotype of how black women are being portrayed as angry, as loud, as quote unquote nasty.
That's true.
As mean. So whatever has been the portrayal of black women in media, where has came out through his mouth. So he didn't do any damage. The damage has already been done in many cases.
Well, is it intensified because he has the bully pulpit? In other words, can he do more damage because he has a bully pulpit?
Yeah, and I think expanding the conversation beyond specifically, damage done to the image or reputation of black women or black women reporters. Obviously, we've seen that he can do a lot of damage when it comes to bringing out hatred and bigotry and just a level of meanness that he did not invent, he did not create. It was there. Mm-hmm. But he brought it to the surface. So in that extent, anything that's negative, that the dog whistles that aren't so much dog whistles coming from him that he throws out there, once he is out of the White House, which I think will be before 2020.
Before 2020?
I just think with all the stuff that's happening. But whenever he's out of the White House, 19 or 2021, what he has intensified and exacerbated is going to be there. And that's going to be part of his legacy. As bad as it was before Trump, the stench is going to linger for years afterwards.
Do you think those four, let's hope it's only four, less possibly, if the report is right. Of course, that's not going to happen because of the Senate. You need 2/3 to convict, and you'll never get that from those senators. But do you think he's exacerbated the racism? Has he added to it? Has he made it worse than it was? Or did it grow? Did it come back to life under Obama?
I think under Trump. What happened is when he was campaigning, there was a lot of hated words used in his campaign. And since he became president, that now it seems that we now have a system in place to allow, be all you have been, to come out even more so. If you've been racist, let it all hang out now. Just come on, just show it to me. Shoot me your best shot. So I think what has happened is we're seeing a lot of realness now in people. I think back then there was a lot of political correctness kind of sustained those behaviors, but now it's kind of like it's on the table. I am what I am.
And you're right. I mean, you're right that the presence of Obama, the being of Obama, uncovered a lot.
And folks, he grew off of that.
And I mean, without Obama, there is no Trump. Sad to say.
I agree with you.
Without Obama, there's no Trump.
I agree with you.
I'll still take those 8 years of Obama, and we'll deal with Trump. But without Obama, there's no Trump.
And even if you look at the Obama years, how much negative press did our former First Lady, Michelle, take? I mean, she was talked about from head to toe.
Literally.
She was talked about from, the muscles in her arm. She was just, this woman was disintegrated, more and more and more, to the point where it was absolutely ridiculous. So what Trump said to those three women was probably like a reflection of what Michelle was going through. About.
Continuation.
And that's shameful because Michelle is America.
Yeah.
I don't want to get on anybody else's wife, but Melania is not as much America.
Get on her. She's a birther too, so
nowhere near the class that Michelle Obama had.
Except when she's still in Michelle Obama's speeches.
But that just shows you how entrenched the racism is in this country. And I don't know if we're ever gonna, I call it the disease that won't go away. Sometimes it'll go in. It'll go away for a minute,
Remission.
like Reconstruction time. Then it comes back.
Yeah.
Then during the Johnson years with the Civil Rights Bill, Voting Rights Bill, and that's when everybody was together. You know, white women, black men, all under one cause. But as soon as Nixon gets in there, that goes away. Then we have the Obama years, and now it's gone away. That sickness just will not die. It stays with us, and I think it is Trump helps it along with the bully pulpit. So, what's it look like in going forward? Carrie, let me start with you. What's it look like going forward for us?
Yeah, I think in spite of what we've been saying about the media, and we do see more. Even we don't see more blacks necessarily, say, as anchors on some of these news shows. We see more of them as guests and commentators. We're seeing more black reporters, on those roundtables. I think the media, in many ways, is at one of its finest hours. Because of the reporting on the president, because of the investigative stuff, and our frustration is with Trump, but it's also because of those people who see all the information about him out there, but who will still support him. But they know the information. So I think the media is actually doing a very good job of unearthing all this stuff. And I think it's going to continue. And as Trump continues to peg them the enemy of the people, that's just going to make them want to work harder to do their job. Not to undermine him, but to do their job and putting the truth out there.
Right.
But it would be better if we had more African Americans and more Latinos out there also doing that work.
So you feel that some positive came out of the negative of him attacking the 3 black reporters?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people got upset.
Yeah.
And not just black people.
Yeah. Even for some folks, it's always that final straw. Or you start making, because it happened within a week, the way it just almost like it wasn't a concerted effort by him, it was just because of his personality. But you go after these 3 black female reporters, for some folks who may not want to see it, it was hard for them to avoid it then.
Okay. Chef, what do you think? What's it look like going forward, the media?
I think that what we're seeing now is more diversity in the media, whereby we have still the mainstream media sources pushing out information, but we're also seeing growth in online media sources such as Black Video Network, Roland Martin's show. So we're seeing more and more alternate news sources as well that's pushing out information from a different perspective. And then, of course, we had our discussion earlier on the influence of social media.
Right.
Well, we're seeing all these pieces of information coming at us. And so now it's going to become more and more important for us to be able to discern what is good information versus what is Wikipediaized, as I like to say, information.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you all for joining us here on Discussion with the Writer Fred. And in closing, I just want to tell our viewers that it is important that we pay attention to what's in the news, how it's being interpreted, and don't take anyone else's opinion. Get your own opinion. And that's what we do here with Discussion with Writer Fred, because we're going to continue, I don't care what happens, to tell our story our way.
Right.